So yesterday there was this question that I realized I did incorrectly. Instead of doing it this way, I'm just gonna erase everything out. I only included smokers female and non-smokers male, right? But in this case, you actually also include male smokers as well, because as long as this person is male, you include them. So actually we're looking at in total how many males there are plus female smokers. So it should be 264 plus 68 over 485. That should give you the right answer. And thanks to Zara for pointing that out for me, because I just completely thought of it in a different direction. Okay, so in today's homework, no, yesterday's homework, where is it? Starting 27, I highlighted a few, as usual, I highlighted a few questions that you guys asked about, but if there are any questions you want to talk about that I haven't highlighted, then you just let me know. Okay, so what do we have here? This is a cumulative polygon, right, first of all. And we're missing, who's not here? Safa.
Oh yeah, Miss, she said her internet was wrecked or something.
Okay.
She told me to tell you, yeah.
Alright, thank you.
No worries.
So it says use the polygon to estimate an interquartile, right? Usually we only know, for example, Q3, Q1, because we do Q3 minus Q1 to find the interquartile range. But then on this graph, it doesn't tell you interquartile range. No, it doesn't tell you quartiles. You're just given these cumulative frequencies. But you need to know that Q1 stands for the first 25% of the data. Q3 stands for the first 75% of the data, right? So from this, and also, you know, there are 400 numbers in total. From this, you're able to find the position of Q1 and Q3. So for Q3, it's 75% of the data. So 75% times 400, that's how many numbers there are. It's going to be the 300th value. So 300, you go down to the graph. According to the polygon, it's 172. And then you do 25% because it's Q1, right? Q1 is 25% of the 400. And that's the 100th number. You go sideways and you'll find it's 136. And here I actually wrote P75, that's percentile, right? So percentile 75 minus percentile 25. That pretty much just means 75% minus 25%. That will give you the same answer. But I think the key points are, first of all, you need to recognize that it's Q3 minus Q1. Second of all, how to find these two numbers. So you do the percentage times the total number to find the position. Next page. No one asked about this one. Does anyone want to talk about it? No one? All right, moving on. So 27 is crossed out, this one. Is this whole thing crossed out?
Yeah.
That's very weird. Okay, question 28. You're only required to do the first question, right? So it says Jacob has a large jar of silver coins and he added 20 gold coins to the jar. He then seals the jar and shakes it. So based on his handful, if a coin is selected, I rank them. So in his handful, what does he have here? He has 33 silver and 24 gold, I think. Oh wait, sorry, 4 gold. So all you do, isn't it? Right now he has 33 in total. You just do 4 over 33, isn't it?
No, Miss, it's over 37.
Oh, sorry, yeah, over 37 because there are 37 coins, right? And the second question is out of the syllabus, so you don't have to worry about it. This one, so whenever you're given an energy rating thing, you don't actually need to look at a stars, right? It doesn't make a difference for you because the stars just tell you how efficiently this machine uses its electricity, but like the energy consumption is given to you and that's all you need. Okay, question 28. Donnie, I think you circled this question from memory.
Oh yeah, Miss. I just needed to ask. See how it's 0.7 times 0.2, and then you're just plussing them together.
Yeah.
I understand why they did that, but I just have a question as to why they didn't use. How the W strand has 0.7. And then the substrand for winning is 0.7, and then the draw is 0.2.
Yeah.
How come we didn't use the 0.7 from the largest strand? That's all my question was. But other than that,
did. So you mean from the main strand, yeah?
Yeah.
From the main strand, you do the 0.7.
Yeah.
So you need to do the WD. Your destination should be WD. To get to WD,
okay.
take this route, right?
Oh, okay.
So that means I'm timesing these two numbers together. For the same reason, if you had a draw at the start and win after, you do 0.2 first. And then because my destination is DW, I'm taking this exit.
Oh, okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
And then you add them up.
Yeah.
All right, question 2. I just want to quickly address. There are actually 2 reasons to why you can't do it like that. 1.4. This, first of all, for a probability, if it's a decimal, it can't be bigger than 1, right? At most can be 1. So this, as a probability value, is already not valid. Second of all, if you actually find the probability for winning both games, it's going to be 0.7 times 0.7 because you're going horizontally. So it'll give you 0.49. In the question, they actually added these 2 probabilities, but that's incorrect. You only add them when you're doing vertically. This question is pretty straightforward, right? But just be careful. It says she's making quarterly contributions. So with the 6 years, you times it by 4, that will give you 24 periods. And with the rate, you divide by 4. And then you'll be able to find this value. Question 28E, the marshmallow question. Question 1 is pretty straightforward. You put it into the formula. Second question, it wants to make a marshmallow cake and put chocolate into the gaps. So it asks how much chocolate is needed. So because it asks you for volume, you know definitely you're using V equals A times H. And I had a look at the answer. I actually, because it didn't really explain why you're doing those numbers, right? It's a bit confusing to understand what's happening. So instead, I'm just gonna do it right now with you. So whenever you're finding the volume, you need to first find what area you're looking for. And in this case, we know we're looking at the shaded areas, and they look exactly the same, right? They look exactly the same. There are 6 of them. But how do I find how much each one of them is equal to? It's not a normal shape. It's not a rhombus. It's also not a square. It's not a circle. Maybe the first thing that I would think of doing is sectors, but they also don't look like sectors at all. So what should I do? And then I realized, let's just focus on one of them. If I just go from the center of each circle, that is going to give me a square. Because they're the same circles, right? So I'm just going to take it out so that's easier to see. I'll try to draw it accurately, but it's a bit hard. And then this goes through the middle of each side. Okay. And then I'm just going to shade it in green, I guess. This is the area I want. So in this square, everything extra other than the shaded area I need to get rid of, right? What are each one of these shapes? They're quarters. They're a quarter of a circle. So if I put all of them together, all these four parts together, what shape am I going to get? I'm going to get another circle, correct? Because I have 4 quarters here. So 4 quarters will give you 1 circle. That should be common sense. And they're 4 of the same quarters because they're part of the same circle. So what's the radius of each circle? It's 2.5. So that means to find the area of this shaded area, I do the square. So the area of the square minus the area of a circle, because this circle is made up of 4 quarters, and these 4 quarters are exactly from these corners. So for the square, you have 2.5, another 2.5. So it's going to be a 5 by 5 square minus the area of the circle, pi r squared. R is 2.5 squared. So that's one of them. And you have 6 of the same weird shapes, right? So you do, it's going to be 6 times that. So 5 times 5, the square minus a circle times the h. H is going to be, because each one of them is 3 centimeters, you add them up, it's going to be 6. And let's see how much that is equal to. If you have any questions about this, can you ask me now? That's 193 centimeters cubed. So that's the answer. But you can also, because the chocolate you put onto inside this cake is going to be liquid, right? So maybe 1-to-1, change it into meals, because you're putting liquid chocolate in it. Okay. Moving on. Question 29A. The reason why it's 1/2 is because you can simply just draw this tree diagram, right? And then you'll realize that the probability of getting one head and the other is a tail is going to be HT and TH, 2 out of the 4, and that's 1/2. All right, this
Miss,
huh?
do you think they'll ever tell us to draw a tree diagram like with no blank spaces or anything?
For a question as simple as this?
No, not for like a more complex question.
Then they will tell you.
Oh, they will?
Yeah. So for example, if you are drawing a tree diagram like this, they will definitely tell you to do it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Next page. So this is an exponential, right? In exponential, maybe I can just write, yeah, we can summarize it. So in exponentials, so they will look like y equals m times a number to the power of x. So m is always the initial value. And the gross in decimal is a minus 1. So whatever number that's on the base, minus 1 from it, that's the growth rate. And I would like you to copy this down as well. So the number in the front is the initial value. And then a minus 1 is the decimal of the growth rate. Okay, so looking at this graph, it asks you first of all, what's the value of A? A is the number in the front, right? So the initial value. Initial value on the graph is just going to be where the graph started. So that's 1.5. Next one, the daily growth rate. So growth rate is whatever number that's in the middle minus 1. So you have 1.1. That means you're doing 1.1 minus 1 to get a rate, which is 0.1. But this is a decimal. Times it by 100. So it's 10%. This question I didn't do it, but I think the answer is very clear already. Just don't forget to, whenever you do a question like this, always give some numbers, because it's a 3-mark question, right? And sometimes the question will say include appropriate calculation, but sometimes it doesn't. But in your head, you need to think there are 3 marks to this question. I can't just answer it without any evidence. This one, I think you're able to find the R just by putting this part into the calculator, right?
Miss, I kept getting the wrong answer for that. I kept getting R as 1 point something.
Did you put in these values as well?
No.
Weird.
You have to put in both of the values. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
you
I
click
did.
that
I
and then you
couldn't.
click to A plus B. Did you do that?
Yeah, that's what I did, yeah. And
Are
he
you
kept
sure?
Yeah. Look, I'll do it now.
Because I got 907 as well.
There are only 10 numbers, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no problem here. Okay, so the next part it says you need to use the formulas to find a line of least squares, right? So I remember from memory, m is equal to r times sigma of y over sigma of x. So you have 0.907 times sigma of y, that is 13.73 over 9.05. Does anyone have the answer to this? No one's done it?
I got 1.376.
1.376. All right, thank you. Thank you both. And then how do you find the y-intercept?
It's C equals to the mean of y minus the gradient times
Oh yeah, thank
X.
you.
The x mean.
All right, so then you'll have 66 minus 1.376 times 69.4, and how much is that? That's minus 29.49. So that means y is equal to mx plus b, so 1.376x minus, because it's negative, that. I mean, you can use the calculator to find this line, but it says you need to use the formulas to find it. So if you just put the whole thing into the calculator, you don't get any marks for this question. So make sure you're actually using the formulas on the back side of the paper to do it.
Miss, it's at the bottom of our pages. I think you have it too. Oh no, you don't.
No.
Yeah, but
Oh, that's
every
good.
formula, like, yeah, it gives us
That's
the
really good.
yeah.
Okay, this question rise over run. Okay, so now we're here at this question now. So what do you do? School playground. So what's the area of the whole playground? I think you need to first see what this whole thing is made of, right? You have a sector, you have a triangle, you have a rectangle on the bottom. Of course, you can think of it as a circle with part of it cut off, but I just thought personally that was a bit longer than if you just do it straight away, because with the 3 parts, you can find the areas very easily. Let's say, first of all, for the sector, do I know how much this angle is? This is equal to 260, right? Because you know the other part is 100 degrees. The whole thing is 360. So you do theta over 360 times pi r squared, and you have everything. So 260 over 360 times pi times the radius is 42. So 260. Sorry. So that's equal to 4594.56 meters squared. Second part, can I just do half times 45 times 45 for this area? It's a triangle. Can't I just do half times space times height?
Can you, because it's isosceles or not?
You can only use half times space times height when? When is this available? That's only in right angle triangles. So it's either if you already have a non-right angle triangle, but you know the base, you know the height. Or you have just a right angle triangle straight away. So either way, you're using 2 lines that are perpendicular to each other. But in this case, we don't have that option.
So you do the sine rule.
Yeah, so you use the sine rule, right? So you use half AB sine C. And that's equal to half times 45 times 45 times sine 100 degrees. And that's equal to 997.12 meters squared. And then for the rectangle, that's where it gets a bit tricky. We know the width, but we don't know the length. And can you just use Pythagoras in this case to find the length? Jana?
Yeah, miss.
Do you think it's appropriate to use Pythagoras to find the base?
For what?
This triangle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you think I just do 45 squared plus 45 squared in the square root?
Yeah.
Can you see why that's incorrect, but?
No, that's incorrect because like you have an angle.
Yeah, it's not right. It's not 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Right. So instead, what can I find? What can I use?
You can use the 45 squared plus
What's that thing
45
called?
I don't know, but it's cost rule, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's cost rule, right? So you have 2 sides, you're trying to find another side, and you know one angle. So it's ASSS. So that means you're doing, let's call it x. X squared is equal to 45 squared plus 45 squared minus 2 times 45 times 45 times cos 100. Did anyone do this?
Yeah.
Could you tell me how much x is equal to?
I don't have my book in front of me though.
Don't forget to square root it. So that's 68.94. The reason why I'm keeping some decimals is because in the end, in the question it says keep to the nearest square meter, right? So my answer is going to be a whole number, which means in my calculation I definitely need to keep at least 1 decimal place. But I'm just going to keep 2 because it's more accurate. So you know x is equal to 68.94. The reason why I'm finding this side is because I want to find the area of the rectangle, right? So always keep your goal in mind, what you're trying to do. So the area is 68.94 times 20. That's 1378.8. Thanks, Nabila. So that's also meter squared. Now to find an area, the total area is just the 3 parts added together, right? So 1 plus 2 plus 3. So you're adding these numbers together. These are the areas. Don't get confused. Don't lose marks at the end just because of some transcript errors. So that's 6970.48 meters squared. But then, because you're just keeping to the nearest square meter, just keep this. So I'll leave this here for 20 seconds for you to copy, and then I'll move on to the next one. All right, moving on. This question, I didn't think it was hard. Oh, actually, the second part's a bit tricky, right? So the first one, you just substitute the values in. You know, the score is 88. So x is the score, and the z score is 2.4. So you literally put these two numbers into the equation you're given. That's the one you're using. And then it says, in the same exam, Brooke achieved this score, and the corresponding z score is minus 1.2. So I can substitute these two values into the original equation again, and this is going to be the formula I get. So the second formula from this question I get is this one. But it says solve the equations simultaneously. So what does simultaneous mean? It means you need 2 equations, right? So this is the equation you have from previous. So you have x bar is equal to 88 minus 2.4 times s, or x bar is equal to 52 plus 1.2 times s. So if x bar is equal to both these things, that means the right-hand sides are also equal. So make them equal. That's what I did. I just made the 2 right-hand sides equal, right? And then move the numbers together, move the polynomials together. And s, the standard deviation, is equal to 10. Then you can just substitute this value into either one of them. Let's just say equation 1 and equation 2. So the first step I did was right-hand side of 1 is equal to the right-hand side of 2. And then I solved it. S is equal to 10. To get x bar, I subbed s equals 10 into the second equation to get how much x bar is equal to. Any questions here? Okay, so I think, yeah, that's the end of 2016. Let's look at the replacement questions. So Samaya and Sephora, actually, you were the only two who didn't do this section, and you can check your homework record so far. Samaya, I've already made a central comment today for you, because there's been quite a few instances where you didn't do, I know you always do your homework, but you always will forget some questions. So just make sure you don't do that in the future.
So what do you mean forget?
No, not you, sorry, I meant Sawari.
Sorry.
For this question, I actually got 33. I don't know if some of you got 33 as well, but the answer is 34. And I think if you go from the top to the bottom, that's when you get 34, which is really weird. I can't figure out why you can't get the same maximum capacity by going different routes. It shouldn't happen. There might be something wrong with the network itself. And question A, you just have to find the minimum cuts, right, the values. Question B, explain why cut 3 is not used. That's because cut 3 does not stop anything. So let's just imagine if the source is putting out water and you put a block there. It's not going to block anything, right? Water is still going to go to the sink. Okay, question 2. So whenever you're given a unit energy expenditure table like this, you need to times the energies with the person's weight to find how much they actually use in 30 minutes, for example. So for this question, it says Emma has a mass of 58 and she rides a bike. So once I have read this part, I can just go to the table and times the cycling one by 58. Because I know Emma's cycling, right? So this is how much energy she actually uses for 30 minutes. So this much energy for 30 minutes, how much for 90 minutes? That's what the energy, the question wants you to find. So cross multiply, it will give you 3. Second one, James, 70 kilos. He drinks Coke and then he runs at 16 kilometers per hour to burn off energy. So James is using this one, which is why I times this unit energy expenditure by James's weight. And that's how much he actually burns every 30 minutes. So you have, if he burns this much every 30 minutes, how much time does he need to spend to burn off this bottle of cola, right? So cross multiply again, and you will get 14 minutes, 21 seconds. You'll get a decimal, but you just have to use the degree button to change it into minutes and seconds. And even though it says to the nearest minute, and technically you need to run it down to 14 minutes, and I know that's what answer did as well. But then he wants to burn off the energy in that bottle. So he needs to at least exercise for 14 minutes, 21 seconds to actually burn off that bottle of Coke, right? Which means if we are looking at whole numbers, he needs to at least be running for 15 minutes. So I don't know if you've realized, whenever it's like a real life application, most of the time we're actually rounding it up because we're looking at least. So we need to at least achieve that amount. So I'm just going to overdo it a little bit. Does anyone want me to talk about question 3?
No, that one was easy, but question 4.
Okay, question 4. First one is just critical. It says show that k is equal to 3. I guess when you're doing this question at the back of your mind, you just think, okay, I'll use the 3 at some point, right? Because if you put everything into order, you will see if there's a 3, it's going to be chosen at the start. So if you just choose everything up to here, so as I was ticking these numbers, I counted that there's 33 here. The reason why it's 33 is because I want to leave a space of exactly 3 for k, and I see if that's valid. So once I've ticked all of them, I just highlighted them on the graph. And then I see that all I needed was connecting D to C, right? So it was just this part that I need. And this could just be equal to 3. Question B, another copy of the network is provided, and it says vertex D is to be removed. So if it's removed, the blue part, so I traced these lines in blue because I don't want to include anything from D, and it's easier if you just get rid of it at the start. And from the blue network, I just picked a point to do it, and that gave me 43. So I think the answer, the question is a bit confusing here because it still gives you D, right? And you need to ignore it consciously yourself. But I guess just use a pen to trace the other lines to make them darker, and you just focus on those lines. And then you just do either POS methods. All right, question 5. I think this question is slightly different than the ones we've done so far because it doesn't give you the network, and it doesn't, like, it's already done the forward and backward scanning for you, but this is not the way we're used to, right? But then on this one, we can actually identify when a task finishes and also which tasks are critical. It's the same as if you just do forward and backward scannings yourself. If a task is critical, earlier starting time and later starting time will be equal. So critical activities have earlier starting time being equal to later starting time. So we can probably just highlight them first. We have EST, so B is critical, 5.5E is critical, 12.12, 18.18, 22.22, and 24.24. So these are the critical events. But then when does the task finish? We know it starts from the 0th hour, right? But when does it finish? It starts at, so the last task is M. M starts at the 24th hour and it takes 4 hours to do, right? So that means the earliest finishing time and the latest finishing time, let's just say finishing time. Finishing time is going to be 24 plus 4 hours, the duration of this task, which is 28. So 28 is the finishing time. So it asks, what's the float time for activity I? For activity I, the latest starting time is 16. And it's 19, right? And it takes, and the earliest starting time is 12. So the difference is going to be how much they can slack for. Oh wait, you need to do this minus 3. Right? What's the answer for this question?
Yeah, miss, you're right. It's 7.
It is 7, right?
Yeah, they do 19 minus 12.
Yeah, so it's just
then
19 minus 12. Okay.
They only do 19 minus 12 and then minus 3. Isn't that how we do it, like on the graph and everything?
But the earliest starting time and latest starting time, they're one on top of the other.
So if we
not
find it in a
independent.
graph like that, we only minus those 2.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Thanks.
I think there was an extra worksheet for networks, and it specifically talks about these cases. I'll try to find it online and give it to you guys again. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, good. So question B, name the critical path and hence find the length. Oh, I actually already did B accidentally. So I highlighted these tasks because the early starting time and latest starting time are equal. And the length of the task is just 24 hours plus 4, right? 28 hours. And then to put these numbers on the graph was not hard. You just use the first 2 columns. But it
Yeah,
says,
that was easy.
yeah, question 2 was very easy, wasn't it? Question
Yeah.
D, it says activity P is to be connected as such. So I did it using red. And it cannot start until after. What impact will this have? So what I would do, I didn't do it on the graph. But I would do a forward and backward scanning myself. Even though, like, I guess the question doesn't really hint that you need to do that. But then because you added another task, all these numbers are going to change from that point on, right? So it's better if you do it. So actually, let me just do it on the graph as well. So at the start, you're going to have 0. I guess the graph does look a bit complicated, but at least there's nothing pointing towards the opposite direction, right? So it should be not too hard. So 0, from 0 to the next task, it's 4, and then this is 5. 5 plus 6 is less than 4 plus 8, so it's going to be 12 at this point. Because you're doing forward scanning, you choose the biggest values, right? So this is 12, 18, 22, 16, 24. Oh, what? I think the only thing that changes is because at the start, if we don't do it with P, then we would have just chosen 22 plus 2, right? But now you can actually go from 12 plus 18. That gives you 30. 30 is bigger than 24. Why is it not working? Oh, here we go. So this is 30. And 30 plus 4 is 34. So that becomes the new finishing time, right? And then you do backward scanning. So backward scanning is when you choose the smallest number. So you have 34. I hope I do this correctly. And then 12, 5, 0. And this becomes 28, 24, 24. Okay, so I have completed forward and backward scanning again, and I see that the critical path in this case, it's different now. It goes to the bottom, right? So now the critical activities now become BEPM instead of the ones we had at the start. And then the finishing time is 34 now instead of 28. So 34 minus 28, this is 6. So you're actually spending an extra 6 hours to complete the task. So that's the end of the replacement questions. Today's homework is 2015 1 to 26 plus in this lesson. So by 4:30, could you please finish this quiz that I have already posted on Trello? I'll post the link in the group as well. So submit this by 4:30 and then do the multiple choice questions plus question 26 for homework. If you don't have any questions, you can leave and start doing the quiz now.
Okay, thanks, Miss.
See ya.
Bye.
Miss,
Mm.
Is a quiz like today?
Yeah. It's not
Okay.
like it's not going to go to a report or anything.
Okay.
Can I end?